Hello and welcome to another episode of Huskers in Kansas City. I'm your host, Jake Brown. Got a lot to talk about in this episode, you guys. Starting off with Husker basketball getting a monumental victory at home Friday night against SPARTY. We're going to talk about the upcoming game against Ohio State and my prediction for that game. Then we're going to get into the transfer portal. We've got some news coming from the portal. Good news for Nebraska in my mind. Looking at quarterbacks. And then lastly, we got a ton of engagement on the last episode in the comments. My questions got a lot of responses. I want to keep that going. I've got 3 burning questions for you guys, and hopefully we can get that same level of engagement. But let's get this thing kicked off. So Husker basketball. Are we a basketball school now? I think so, baby, and I love it. Nebraska takes down SPARTY 58-56. To remain undefeated. We're 14-0 now. And don't forget about this, guys. I forget about it sometimes. We currently have the nation's longest active winning streak going back to last season of 18 straight games. I mean, I never would have imagined us to be in this position. I mean, what a fun time, especially after another disappointing football season, to be undefeated and playing incredible. Everyone's starting to talk about us. You know, we're clearly not a fraud. You know, everyone's like, man, Nebraska's for real, baby. And we are. We've shown it time and time out. But let's talk about the game. This was a great basketball game. Not as many points as I thought would be put up. I predicted 74-70 Nebraska. It was a low-scoring defensive battle. And what got us the victory in this game, and this is so encouraging, we weren't shooting well. I'll get into the stats from the game for both teams in a second, but it was our defense, right? It was timely shooting of Rank Mast, who was our leading scorer like I predicted, but it was defense. Our defense played their asses off. We were hustling. We were blocking their shots, forcing turnovers, and at the end of the day, the crowd was huge. They talked about it in the postgame. I mean, they were electric. And I really felt like that was important in that second half, especially when the momentum was swinging towards SPARTY. So let's get into the stats from the game, you guys. Field goals. Michigan State shot 34% from the field, Nebraska 32%, so neither team shot well from the field. From three-point, Michigan State had the slight edge, 35.7%, 35% for Nebraska. So not bad from three. Total rebounds. This is what I talked about in the pregame. Michigan State is a phenomenal rebounding team. They dominated the glass, and they did get a ton of second chance points. But luckily, our defense was playing so hard, getting blocks, stealing the ball, forcing turnovers, creating tough shots on the other end, even though they were getting a lot of opportunities. But look at that, 43 total rebounds to Nebraska's 28. Here was the difference along with our defense. The turnovers. And this is attributed to Nebraska's defense. Yes, probably 3, 4, 5 came from Michigan State just without anyone, on their own doing. But Nebraska's defense was incredible. Pressure on the ball. The switch defense was working. Every time they got it inside, we had 2 guys there. I just felt like the energy all game was unbelievable on that side of the ball. And you see it. Michigan State had over double the amount of turnovers as Nebraska. And that really was huge, especially in that second half when I think it was Jeremy Fears dribbled it off of his knee and it went out of bounds. I mean, that was just in a low-scoring game like that, right? There's going to be a lot of scrappiness, fights after the ball, a lot of fouls, and that's what we saw. And for Nebraska to minimize turnovers, to not shoot very well, but play that level of defense and get that W, that's impressive. Because a lot of people say Nebraska lives by the three-pointer. That's just not true. The point paints were even in this game. Really, the difference was turnovers. Nebraska minimized turnovers, and we forced several from Michigan State. We got out-rebounded. We got outshot. They outshot us in every statistic, from field goal, from three-pointer, from the free throw line. But this is what I really love. This was Nebraska's lowest scoring output all season, by far, against the best team we've played. And we still found a way to get the W. Yeah, we were at home. That's an advantage. But you know what? Years past, we would have gotten blown out in this game. Heck, I remember, I think it was last year, Michigan State beat us by like 40 points. So in a game where we got outshot, you see it here from the field, from 3, and from the free throw line, and we still found a way to get the win. That's something Nebraska teams haven't done in the past. The best teams find ways to win without shooting well or having things go their way. And in that second half, I was nervous. I was thinking Nebraska was going to let that slip through their fingers. I'm like, here we go, right? It was tied up 33 all, I think, at the end of the first half. There was a period of 8 minutes where Michigan State didn't score a field goal, but then when they got those technical fouls, they hit those 4 free throws in a row, the momentum swung. But Nebraska was able to find a way to stay in the game, to swing it, whether it was a timely 3 from Rank Mast or Braden Frager, who were phenomenal in this game, or whether it was Sam Hoiberg getting an extra rebound, or, Nebraska getting a steal, blocking a shot. The energy level was incredible all game long. But Nebraska's proven this multiple times this season. Anyone that thinks we're still not for real is full of shit. The best teams in a game like this where things aren't going your way, we're not shooting well from the field, we're not shooting great from 3-point, we didn't get to the free throw line a ton. It was the same for both teams. I think each team had 14 shots from the free throw line. But this was a hard-fought, scrappy game where you're not shooting well, and Nebraska once again got the victory. And this is a damn good coach team that Tom Izzo has. He's a phenomenal coach, legendary Hall of Fame coach, and I thought they had us right where they wanted us in that second half. But Nebraska continued to fight. The crowd was electric the whole night, and we made more plays than they did. This is an incredible basketball team. Rank Mast was our leading scorer. I predicted that. I was 1 point off of his total. I predicted he'd have 20 and I think 8 rebounds. He finished with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. So, again, he was big in this game. That 3 he hit in the second half with, I think, just under 2 minutes left was the dagger. He hit 6 total in the game. Sanford wasn't great the whole night shooting wise, but in that first half, he came up big. He's so good moving without the ball in his hands. And they talked about it, the announcers. He could score 20 points without dribbling the ball once. The way he moves, the way he goes towards the basket on, pick and rolls. He moves well without the basketball, and he's a smart player. Jamarcus Lawrence was another one. Frager had a good game, 13 points, but Lawrence was all over the stat sheet. And when we need a bucket, he comes up big. In the first half and the second half, he takes it to the hoop a lot. He's aggressive when the shot clock is coming to an end and we're just passing it around the top of the 3-point line, not really getting anything going. He's the guy we get it to. He'll penetrate. He'll get to the foul line. He was good again in this game. And the 11th man, baby, or I guess the 6th man, Pinnacle Bank Arena. My God, this is one of the toughest places to play in the country. Can we frickin' start talking about that? I mean, even against New Hampshire and North Dakota, it was a packed house. All the students were there, even on break. This place, it was in a humongous momentum swing to be playing at home. That crowd was insane. They were in it the whole game. You got to love playing at Pinnacle Bank Arena, baby. But Nebraska basketball, I mean, I can't say enough. Fred Hoiberg has done a phenomenal job. I mean, getting this team to play together this well with the level of talent he's got, which is improving every recruiting class, but still, we're not as talented as Michigan State. We're not as talented as a Wisconsin. We're not as talented as an Illinois, but we're finding ways to win. I love that we're becoming like the Indiana of basketball. Let's go, baby. But if we got to look at it. Fred Hoiberg, it took him a long time, right? This is his 7th season as coach. His first 2 years were abysmal, right? I know my last episode talking about Matt Rule, is he the right guy? I think football is different than basketball. I think a lot of stuff is different, but maybe there's something to be said about that. The longer you give them, you put faith in them, you let them keep building, and, eventually it gets better. But we'll see on football. But let's talk about their next game. So Monday night, we got a tough road game at Ohio State. Big brand, typically a blue blood in basketball, just like they are in football. However, they're not, they haven't shown to be quite as elite this season. They're 10-3. Coming off a victory against Rutgers, 80-73. Let's look at their resume. So they don't have any big wins. They haven't beat anybody in the top 25, but all 3 of their losses were not bad losses. They were close games. So they lost by a point at Pitt early in the season. They lost by 8 points at Illinois, and then they lost by 1 point to North Carolina. So those are all 3 legitimate losses. But again, they've blown out crappy teams. They haven't beaten anyone worth a darn. But let's get into their statistics. They've got a lot of scores, guys. Again, this is a talented basketball team. It's Ohio State. They've got a lot of guys, and it starts with Bruce Thornton, their guard, 21 points per game, 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Talk about being all over the stat sheet. My God, man, he's one of the best players in the Big Ten. Then Devin Royal, who's a forward for them, 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists. Their other guard, John Mobley Jr., look at these numbers, 14 points a game, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. And then their big center, Christoph Tilley, 13 points per game, 6 rebounds, right around 3 assists. So great numbers all across the board. Now, after their top 6 guys, the numbers drop off significantly. So they're a top-heavy team. They don't have a ton of depth. But let's get into some of their strengths, right? Showing you their statistics and, their player stats is okay, but it doesn't really give you the full picture. What are they good at? Number one, they have a high-powered offense, and they like to play fast, okay? They're shooting 50% from the field as a team this season, which is outstanding, and they're also really good from three-point range, and they got a lot of guys that can hit threes, okay? Number two, they got multiple playmakers. Really, it dies off after their top 6 guys, but they've got 4 guys that can score at will, okay? And we already talked about them. Number 3, and this is similar to Michigan State. Nebraska won the battle there against the Spartans, but Ohio State does a great job of creating turnovers, and then on the other end, they don't turn it over often. They're one of the best in the country at forcing turnovers and getting extra possessions. So it could very well be a low-scoring, nitty-gritty tight game, very similar to Michigan State. So what are the keys for Nebraska in this game? Okay, number 1, we've got to control the tempo. Slow the game down. Ohio State likes to go fast. That's when they're at their best. In transition, forcing turnovers, hitting quick threes. We've got to slow it down, okay? They're dangerous when the tempo is up. Nebraska needs to play at its pace and control it there. Not let Ohio State get easy transition looks. We've been phenomenal at limiting turnovers this season. Win the physical battle inside. I think it was neck and neck with Michigan State. Yeah, they out-rebounded us, but we held our own with the physicality and the defense that we played. I think that's been our biggest advantage, is our physicality and toughness inside. We don't make it easy to get paint points. And I think also, like similar to what I said against Michigan State, we need to do it better this game. We've got to attack the paint and get to the foul line. Get their bigs in foul trouble early. And then here's the last thing. We need to defend the three-point line and not get caught over helping. Okay, they've got multiple shooters, multiple playmakers, and guys that can hit the threes. We've got to close out under control and avoid overhelping on defense, leaving guys open for wide open threes. All right. So with that being said, my prediction, I don't think it's going to be as low scoring. I think Nebraska is going to shoot better. I think Ohio State, Nebraska as a whole, they're going to shoot a lot at a higher percentage. I think Nebraska, I think Sanford, I think some of our other guys and shooters are going to hit shots. I think Hoiberg's going to score some more. He'll get a couple threes. But I think all in all, it's going to be a higher scoring game. I think Nebraska pulls it out 80-70. I think the difference in this game is going to come down to Nebraska's three-point shooting. I think ranked Mass, Price, Sanford, Frager, and Hoiberg are going to be lethal. I think Jamarcus Lawrence could hit a couple as well. I think that's going to be the difference. I think we're going to make it rain from 3. And again, we're going to minimize turnovers, and I think we'll force a lot of Ohio State. Now, it's going to be a tough atmosphere in Columbus. Their fans going to come ready, but I think that we're going to get the job done. 80-70 Huskers, baby. All right, let's move on to the transfer portal. So rumors are that Kenny MINCHEY, the Notre Dame transfer that I was all over a few podcast episodes ago, I talked about our top targets for quarterback in the portal. It was Brendan Sorsby and Kenny MINCHEY. I'm telling you, Matt Rule's listening to this podcast, you guys, because the rumors are that we're closing in on a deal with him. That's huge. I've watched film on this guy. I've looked up his evaluations coming out of high school. You hear what Notre Dame fans and writers and alumni are saying about him. He's a fan favorite. They think he was the real deal. It was a neck-and-neck battle between him and C.J. Carr, probably the toughest battle of all time in their memory. But, from what we're hearing and what I've looked up, he's polished. He hasn't played it. He didn't play a ton, right, backing up at Notre Dame, but he's got 2 years of eligibility. He's a polished quarterback, 6'2", 208, but he plays slow, right? He's accurate, right? He was in the Elite 11 finalist, perennial 4-star recruit coming out of high school out of Tennessee. Now, here's the difference. He's mobile and can run, but I wouldn't call him dual threat. But I shared with you guys his evaluations coming out of high school. He's elite in the pocket, evading sacks. He's mobile, his elusiveness to escape sacks and break tackles, but he's going to try to throw the football, okay? And his accuracy is lethal. This kid can throw the ball. Again, there was a neck-and-neck battle with C.J. Carr this offseason. That's what several Notre Damers are saying. Right now, he's the 12th ranked quarterback in the transfer portal, a high-end 4-star recruit. He was the same coming out of high school. He was an Army All-American, Elite 11 finalist. And this is another thing you're hearing. Fans loved him. He was a team player. Everybody liked him. I think that's a positive. Talking about getting a guy in, the opposite of an Aiden Childs. Thank God we're not going after that moron anymore. He's a cancer in the locker room. This kid seems like he's going to bring the locker room together. Just a leader, right? I think this is a great pickup. I hope we can close the deal and get it done. Now it's time to go get some offensive and defensive linemen, baby. And reports are that we've got a ton of guys visiting this weekend, which is big. There's a guy from Iowa State with a year of eligibility, a guard that's visiting this weekend. Kenny Minchey's in this weekend visiting. So it's good to know that Matt Rule and staff are getting after it. They're making fast, quick decisions. They need to keep going at this rate. But this was my second number 2 overall target at quarterback in the portal, and we just might land him. That's very encouraging. And just leads me to believe that maybe Matt Rule is listening to this podcast, baby. Everything I've laid out that he needs to prioritize, he's done so far. So, all right, last but not least, I want to finish this show. I love the engagement in the comments last episode. I want to keep that going, guys. Burning questions. I've got 3 of them. 1, will Kenny Minchey be the starting quarterback next year? We're likely going to bring in another quarterback, a depth guy, not a highly touted, expensive guy, probably someone from the Division II or lower FBS ranks, just to be a depth piece. But he's going to be battling with TJ Lateef. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Do some research, look up some stats and film on Kenny Minchey, read up about him, and you tell me, do you think he's going to be the starting quarterback next year? Because I think he is. I think we are bringing him in to be the guy. Second burning question, is Nebraska basketball going to win the Big Ten? Is Nebraska basketball going to win the Big Ten? Now, this can be either the regular season Big Ten championship or the Big Ten tournament championship. I don't give a shit. Either one, they're all in the same to me. Do you guys think that we can win the Big Ten this year? That would be a huge accomplishment. Nobody, had these expectations for us this year. We were supposed to finish middle of the pack in the Big Ten, even with Rank Mass coming back and Price Sanfort coming in from the portal. But what do you guys think? There's not a lot of, I don't know. I feel like there's a good amount of believers in the state of Nebraska about Nebrasketball, but I want to know from everybody else. What do you think? Can we get it done? It's a deep, tough conference, like always. Can we win the Big Ten? And then the last burning question. Should Fred Hoiberg be considered for Coach of the Year? I think he probably is, but it's something that nobody's really talking about. It's early in the year. I know we've got a lot of basketball to play, but it's a hot topic. I think he should be. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Who would have thought Nebraska basketball would ever be 14-0? There's been a lot of good Kansas Jayhawks, Bill Self-coached teams that won national titles that weren't 14-0, baby. He's done an incredible job this season, and it just keeps going. So what do you guys think? Should he be up for Coach of the Year? Do you think he's got a chance to be a finalist at the end of the season for Coach of the Year? That's it for the burning questions. Let me review them. Number 1, will Kenny Minchey be the starting quarterback for Nebraska next year? 2, will Nebraska basketball win the Big Ten? 3, should Fred Hoiberg be up for Coach of the Year? Let me know in the comments. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Give me some feedback. What do you want to hear? What do you want me to dive into? Baseball's around the corner. We've won 2 Big Ten titles in a row in baseball. Just might become a part of this show, you guys, as we get through the basketball season. But appreciate everyone tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Answer those burning questions. And I'll be putting out another episode here in the next few days. I appreciate everyone's support and appreciate everybody tuning in and engaging in the comments. Thanks, everybody. And like always, go Big Red, baby.